They're dead, Dave.
What, Captain Hollister?
Everybody's dead, Dave.
What, Todd Hunter? What, Selby? Not Jen.
He's dead, Dave. Everybody is dead. Everybody is dead, Dave.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to Everybody's Dead Dave, the Red Dwarf review podcast featuring myself, the relative newbie, Adam Martyn, and as always, my co-host...
Phil Hawkins, the long-term fan of Red Dwarf out of the two of us.
I thought you were going to say the long-term newbie then. I was like, do you just...
Yeah, why not?
Do you just stay forever a newbie?
Yeah,
Just
everyone's
different
always
stages.
a newbie.
I like that. Well, we're back, as always, to talk about Red Dwarf. We're going through our journey from the very first episode all the way up to the most recent one, and we're on Series 10, so we're getting there. We're firmly in the Dave era now, and we're going to be taking a look at Episode 4 from Series 10, which is called Entangled. Just before we jump into it, Phil, before you watched this, did you have any lasting memories from this, from when you watched it 10 years ago?
No.
Absolutely
Basically,
none. Like, completely
none at all, really. I couldn't remember much from this episode at all, really. No.
Interesting. Well, we'll see how much of it jogs your memory. The synopsis reads, after losing a game of poker, Lister is in a spot of trouble, and concurrently, Crichton and Kat find themselves in a state of quantum entanglement, acting in absolute synchronicity. That's such a tough word, isn't it? Synchronicity, isn't it? That's how you say it, I think. I just can't pronounce words. This is like I can't say it. This is like that episode all over again.
Ouroboros, yeah,
That's the one.
Absolutely.
Anytime we reference it, I'm just going to stop talking and let you fill the gap on that one, because I can't get around that.
I'm currently rehearsing to be in a play, and I've got to say this Latin phrase that
oh god,
I cannot quite get, and it's just frustrating. Yeah, so I feel your pain there.
You feel me on that one. Excellent. Well, we'll see how many times I can incorrectly say synchronicity during this episode. We'll see. So we start off, Lister gets a kebab. He ordered one, and I've got to say, it's massive. And this took me right back to weekend nights out, and it's 4 a.m, you're very drunk, and you just want something greasy, and you go to the kebab shop, and yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, Phil.
I was always more of a cheesy chips kind of guy for my drunk food.
See, I've developed into a cheesy chips guy as I've gotten older. I feel my kebab phase was very much like, the first few years when you start going out. And I think it's partly because that was like the thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what everyone did. But yeah,
it's the stereotype, isn't it? You go out, you have a drink, you have a kebab.
Exactly. And me being a Donny lad, the Doner kebab, it sort of rang true. But yeah, it's absolutely filthy. There's malfunctions going on as he's dropping bits on it. He tries putting it out with beer, which I found quite amusing because he just does it very nonchalantly.
Starts a fire with his kebab and then tries to put it out with an electrical fire out with beer.
Yeah, but then doesn't he put it out, from how it looks, just with the other fillings from the kebab?
Yeah, that wasn't entirely clear what actually stopped the fire there. I thought that wasn't framed necessarily in a way that was very clear.
Because wasn't it the fillings that started the fire in the first place?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Red Dwarf madness. Things start and end with that, no explanation. But Rimmer comes in, and we get a nice little recap of the events of the end, the very first episode, where he talks about how he didn't, seal the drive plate properly and everyone got killed and stuff like that.
Yeah, because he's really up on the health and safety now. Rimmer loves a regulation, even if he gets them wrong most of the time. So he's like talking about health and safety regulations, isn't he? And I really like this bit where they were like, going back to like, oh yeah, you're up on health and safety, are you? Like when you wiped out all of the crew by not repairing something properly.
The beautiful irony of the situation, I think, as always, Ruth. And nice that he's gotten all upon safety just for this one episode. in true River
and he tries
fashion.
to squirm out of it a little bit. He's like, who ultimately was responsible for that accident?
Yeah, he does
the
that
man
thing
or the system.
Yeah, he does that annoying thing people do where, like, you catch him out for something, you've got evidence for it, and then they go, yeah, but... And then they, like you say, they try and wangle out. He's doing that, but
yeah, but was it though? Was it really?
Yeah, exactly. Was it like that though? Really? Like, good stuff. I mean, personally, I don't know. Did this first scene feel a little too played out for you, Phil, or were you happy with it? Or like, I mean, in like the control room, if you like, when it was just Lister and Rimmer.
Yeah, I think it's quite a throwaway scene. I think it's not anything particularly. I didn't dislike it. But it's not one that's going to stick in my memory. Apparently, this whole episode didn't stick in my memory. So
I wonder if that's a sign of things to come. Maybe. We'll find out. But I've noticed that though over series 10 so far. Not all of them, but I feel some of the episodes we've looked at, like you say, the first scenes are just sort of throwaway. They're not necessarily the most like memorable of scenes, which, you know, is fine, but you know, sometimes you want them to stick, make a punch and all that.
Yeah, I mean, think back to some classic opening scenes. You've got the conversation about the Flintstones characters. Like, that's a classic opener that it will always stay in my mind. And this isn't anywhere near on that kind of level in terms of jokes and things.
No, not on that same bar. But whilst this is going on, Cat's moving around the ship. He's hunting. He's trying to hit
very
something
cat-like. I like it. He's back to it. We've been saying that for this series. He's back to sort of like almost like his series 1, series 2 sort of movements and doing that ow and stuff.
Exactly, yeah. And I think we've both said we prefer, I guess, that style. Obviously, he does get some development as it goes on, but I mean, we've said it before. Like, I think later on he does sort of just become that punchline machine. You know, just comes in, delivers a quip. So yeah, it's nice that more of the actual cat-like traits are coming in back again. Crichton's been experimenting. He says crystals from the quantum rod. Was that the rod from the first episode of this series?
Yeah, and I love the fact that they are going like they've done that a lot this series. There's references back to previous episodes in the series. We had it in Lemons a bit as well, where they referenced something. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head now, but they referenced something from a previous. I think twice they referenced 2 different things from previous episodes, and they're doing it here. And it's just really nice that they've got this kind of continuity between the series.
Yeah, it's like they make that little extra effort to try and make this all its own thing, which is great. For some reason, he figures out that these crystals can hone in on, here we go again, synchronicity. There, I got it. And then from that, the two of them start speaking at the same time as each other simultaneously. And I've got to say that their syncing of each other seemed pretty flawless, didn't you think?
Yeah, they timed that really well. I wonder how many rehearsals they had to go through to get that right.
Yeah, because it's not the only time they do it either. But I also think I'd like to think it probably wasn't as hard as it could have been, because I guess these guys have now been working together at this point for 20 plus years. I guess you get in the groove of how other people speak and talk. I guess it's like when Chris Barry does the impressions of the rest of them. And we always compliment how good he is. But I guess even though he's a very good impressionist, he's been working with them for so long, he probably knows all like the little facets in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the joke as well when he talks about Crichton's like, oh, someone wrote a book on this, and it happens to be the book that Cat is holding.
Yes, and just gag. The way his facial expression as he kind of like slowly raises the book is great. Yeah.
It's a fantastic gag, and there's a lot of good light of the synchro gags, if you like, but we'll come to them.
Yeah. And it's kind of making, so the crystals are kind of isn't it that they're speaking together because they're making coincidences more like.
Yeah, so they explain that when their emotions are heightened, a coincidence is more likely to happen. I think that's something along those lines. And then the crystal exacerbates that to create short periods where they are perfectly in sync. I think that's the explanation anyway.
Yeah. If
memory serves. But Crichton heads to the bunk, only to find that Lister is outside the ship. He claims he forgot his key. I thought that was a cute little gag. He'd gone down to a moon that he found at the start of the episode. He found life signs there. And again, we get a little Kachansky reference.
Yes.
Which we've said they've done one each episode so far. Yep. Yeah. I definitely think we're building something here, Phil. I know you can't say anything, but at this point, either it's just a very recurring running gag or they're definitely building to something. So we'll see. But why has he come back in a spacesuit? Why hasn't he come back via Starbug? Well, turns out he's lost it. He lost it in a game of poker, but that's not the only thing he's lost, is it, Phil?
No, he's also lost Rimmer. Not that Rimmer was with him. Rimmer doesn't know this yet, but he owes Rimmer to the Beggs. Beggs, was it?
Yeah, he says the Begs, although for some reason on IMDb for their synopsis, it says when he loses a poker game to the Gelfs. And I was like, I'm pretty sure he didn't say it was the Gelfs. Although, I mean, there's a point on that I'll come to a bit later. But
they didn't, but these are, I mean, because it stands for, I think, biological engineered garbage guzzlers or something like that.
Yeah, or made by humans to guzzle up garbage.
So they are, because Gelf stands for genetically engineered life form. So they are still, I suppose, a Gelf. They're just a very specific type of Gelf.
Yeah, we're getting into Gelf lore now.
Gelf lore.
All the specific kinds.
Deep Gelf lore.
Deep Gelf lore.
So Begs are a subset of Gelfs, I think.
And as you say, Rimmer doesn't know this yet. Lister owes him. Meanwhile, Crichton's drying spoons with his heat outlet, I'll say in quotation marks, which just looked like he's using his bottom to do so, which I found, on one hand, very juvenile, but also very funny because there's no context for it. He literally just starts doing it, and I think that's what makes it funny.
It's sort of along the same sort of level as when he had the groinal attachment to Hoover.
Oh, God. I forgot about the groinal attachment. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And Rimmer comes in, starts talking about, the rules again, and Crichton's trying to, bail Lister out, I suppose, saying, not wanting to tell him the truth, how the papers accidentally fell out of the airlock, which then excites Rimmer because he says, I could give him more papers and all this sort of stuff. Did you think this scene worked, this little thing between Crichton and Rimmer?
Well, I didn't write any notes about it, so...
I didn't either. I thought it was a nice idea, but yeah.
Yeah, I think, again, it's a fine scene that I just didn't really have any thoughts on. So,
yeah, there's a few of them this episode, spoiler alert, but...
so not bad, but just
not
nothing bad. Of note.
We come back to the cockpit, if you like, where Lister's there in his dressing gown. It seems like he's been up all night. And we get more of a conversation because Crichton's tried to convince Rimmer that, Lister's all about the rules now, and Rimmer's very proud of him, how he's, and all this sort of stuff. And of course... Is
this where the cat's there as well, and they're talking about him helping?
Almost. This is just these two at the minute. But just before the others come in, I wrote in my notes, I thought, I don't know what it is, but the banter between Lister and Rimmer in this scene, and a little bit at the beginning as well, I hate to say it, it just felt a little stale, which is unusual for these two, because normally we always compliment like how good, Lister Rimmer scenes are, where it's just them. But again, I don't know about you, it just felt like it didn't have as much, as much life or as much energy to it. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. It's certainly not up to the level of some of their scenes, even some of their scenes. I'm not just talking about like from series like 6 or 5, where it was like peak sort of like their relationship. But no, even like even this series is not quite up to that level, I think.
No. So as you said, this is where the others come in, and he's asking him for help. And were you about to talk about Kat in this?
Yeah, I love it. I love Kat's bit in this. And he goes,
I'm not here to help. Read my CV. Does not help. Does not clean. Will have sex with anything.
Yes, which is something that they haven't mentioned in ages. Because again, first few series, that was always a thing, wasn't it? How Randy he was and how he'd make love to anything. But then they sort of dropped that motif, I think, quite a bit. But yeah, so a little bit of Cat continuity, but a surprise rhyme from Danny John Jules. We love a bit of a... It's like the I'm going to get you little fishy, but different. So
yeah.
But then Lister has to reveal, what's going on. What are they going to do? Because they suggest that, we can outrun the Begs, we'll just fly away. Can't do that because Lister has a groin exploder attached. A very imaginative name, wouldn't you say, Phil?
Yeah, very that's not something you want attached.
Not at all. This big metal contraption. And if he fails on his debt, I think, dear viewer, you can, if you're not familiar with this episode, I'm sure you can imagine what will happen. Seeing no other choice...
exactly what it says on the tin.
Quite literally does what it says on the tin. So to hopefully avoid this, they travel to the planet of the Begs. And this is where I wrote, when we see them, like you say, they look like a variation of Gelth.
Yeah,
like the creatures themselves.
Look like Gelths. Yeah, so not exactly the same, but you can see that they're related.
Exactly. And it's odd, isn't it? Because I think they, as you say, they don't actually say the word Gelf in this entire episode, do they? Unless I missed it.
No, I don't think so. But it is on the description, like you say, it's on the description on IMDb.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was an official synopsis that was released. I don't know.
I feel maybe we could have even just had one line just sort of saying, oh, you know, they're like a subsection of Gelf, like you said, or something. I don't know. Something like that.
But I was going to mention just quickly the landing shot of Blue Midget going down to the planet. I actually thought that looked really good, like the mountains and everything. Yeah. I assume, I don't know if that was a matte painting or CGI or what it was, but it looked, obviously the ship was CGI, but it looked really good. And it's a nice, refreshing change from the CGI we'd had for the last few years, you know, Back to Earth and before that, even in Series 8 and stuff. By this point, what are we, 2012, I think it was. So the CGI has come along a long way.
It's
long way since then.
Certainly developed to a point where even on a small budget, you can say, yeah, that's pretty decent. So I absolutely agree with you. They try and bargain with the Begs to try and get out of it. And they say, hey, this
scene mirrors very much the Gelf scene from years ago when they were bargaining with Gelfs.
Yes.
And it's got Crichton doing the interpretation in, I think, pretty much the same seating and standing positions that they're in here. It's pretty much like a mirror for that, which I thought was interesting. I wonder if that was deliberate.
I was going to say, would you say that's a deliberate callback or lazy recycling?
I would hope. I would hope a deliberate callback and reference.
Yeah, and a good one. But I mean, they offer the Spoon of Destiny, where they say it can control all things. But then the Begs make a very good point, which is if it controls all things, why are you giving it up?
And then Lister just goes,
well, we just don't really use it much anymore. And it's a good question.
Yeah, and I thought that delivery was great. That just sort of like, yeah, you know, just don't use it. I love how they call Rimmer the sexy light man. That's what we were, which made me chuckle quite a bit. But they challenge them to another card game with everyone at stake this time. And they think, we've got nothing to lose, so let's do it. But then they start talking about choking, don't they? In terms of like card games, like, you know, you go so far, but then you choke and you lose. And the Begs start choking to death and do eventually die.
What a coincidence.
Yes, and if you've been paying attention, dear viewer, you will know this is a result from Cat and Crichton's synchronicity. There, I got it right. Synchronicity from the crystal. So what did they say? They were obviously heightened emotions and they were talking about choking. Therefore, that coincidentally led to them. Because they debunk, you know, when one of them says, so you killed them. They go, well, no, technically not. It was just a coincidence, right?
Yeah. Crichton says, oh, no, that was always going to happen. But yeah, it's kind of a bit techno-babbly kind of like, let's just brush this under the carpet. We didn't cause it.
Red Dwarf fashion, yeah. Let's just forget about it.
Yeah.
Well, now that they're out of the way, but they still have to get rid of the groin exploder. And now that the Begs have gone, it's looking a little bit hopeless, really. But they then decide to try and use Crichton and Cat's synchronicity to try and find the answer. And I like this bit, you know, where they figure out where to go.
Yeah, and I really like the little black and white sort of film that comes on the TV that gives them the clues.
Which, honestly, for a few seconds, I thought was a clip from a real film because it mirrored that era so well. But obviously, it's not. It's just some actors. I think it is anyway. It's a made-up film.
Yeah, I think so.
So they work out that they need to find the manufacturer of the device, and they are going to find them at Error, which is basically a hub for. And this I found a bit long-winded. I think I had to watch this twice just to get it in my head. This was a place. Because in the scientific community, 2 wrongs make a right, isn't it? That's what they say. So
do they?
Feel
I don't know.
It's something like. Were you like this as well? Because I was like, it's something to do with they took all the like people who are just wrong about everything or whatever, put them in a place, and then from all those wrongs, they will make rights. I think, but then it all went disastrously wrong. And now the place is abandoned, or something.
Yeah, they came up. That was it. Crichton goes on about how they had this. The scientists got together and had this theory that 2 wrongs make a right, so they build a spaceship, blah, blah, blah. And I think is it Kat that goes, did it work? And he was like, no.
No. Yeah, which did get me. And I like the kinds of people he mentions, like TV critics, weathermen, all that sort of stuff. That I got a little giggle. But the explanation, as I said, it felt a bit long-winded and quick. They're zipping through it. And I know they have to because they're short episodes, but I don't know. What did you think? It just sort of, yeah. Did you have any thoughts on like this?
Oh, what,
this
the clues
idea?
and stuff? I think it was, or the idea about the space station.
Just the idea of error, the space station.
I think they set it up fine. You know, when they got there, they had to go press the wrong way on the elevator. I think it kind of established the basic of I think they'd done too much of it. It would have been a bit played out. They got to the scientist fairly quickly.
Fair. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, the scientist, of course, they get to the stasis booth. And I love how when Rimmer goes through the wall, he has to change to soft light. His outfit changes colour. Yeah,
it does. Although I do have a logistical question about that. How does his light bee go through the wall?
Is it implied then when in solid light, the light bee itself becomes like soft light, if you get me?
Yeah, I guess. Maybe.
And then if he got shut down in soft light mode, then the light bee returns to like its solid state, I guess?
Yeah. I think I'm probably overthinking that.
Has he walked through walls before in the show?
Yeah, well, definitely he has, but I can't remember if he has done since he got the light bee. I can't.
We'll have to dive through that. If you remember that, Eagle listener, then please let us know in the comments. But Rimmer reports that he's found a stasis pod with someone in it. He gives this description of like how tall they are, what they look like. And again, we get another Kachansky reference.
Yeah, because Lister is like, that matches to Kachansky. And of course, because they're in this like situation where coincidences are happening because of the entanglement thing, you know, it is entirely plausible that by coincidence, Kachansky would be in suspended animation on this ship.
It could be her. And Lister tries to play it off. He's like, no, can't possibly be. But then the minute Kat says, oh, but it could be, he's like, oh, do you think? Like, I love that. But sure enough, Rimmer comes out and says he's found the professor, and who is a gorilla.
Yes. Interesting. Like, I looked up the person that is playing the gorilla. It's played by a guy called Peter Elliott. And basically, Peter Elliott has made a career about playing primates.
Oh, really?
His IMDb says, Peter Elliott is the film industry's primary primate. He's worked in films like Missing Link, 1988, The Island of Dr. Monroe, 1996, Gorillas in the Mist, Congo. He's just basically played, like, he's been in Tarzan films, 2013's Tarzan film. He's been in Planet of the Apes things. He's basically. I mean, I don't know if he does other stuff as well, but he does a lot of chimps and gorillas.
I mean, if he does it well, he played it very well. The movements and all that were great. So this is Professor Edgington, and it's revealed that in an experiment to, I think, advance evolution, it obviously went wrong because error is the place where things go wrong, and she devolutes basically back to like a more primal state. But they find a device that the device itself, and Crichton somehow is just able to get it working correctly, I guess because he's not a wrong person.
Yeah.
And they get her back to her human form, but of course she's naked. And what did you think of this joke, Phil?
Well, I think because Rimmer is particularly, I mean, they're all kind of ogling her.
Yeah.
But Rimmer is the one that wants her to stay naked, particularly.
Yeah.
Which kind of does fit with his character. And so it makes sense. Like, whereas Lister is a little bit more chivalrous and takes her over a coat.
Yeah, exactly. I feel it was laboured on a tiny bit too much. I agree with everything you said, like about this is part of Rimmer's character and stuff like that. But I don't know. I feel it was one joke too long. I think it just started getting little flashbacks of Series 8 Crikey TV vibes, and I was like, no, we're not doing this again.
Yeah.
We're not doing that again. But Professor E meets the team, as it were, and they start to get to work on getting rid of the groin exploder. But it's noticed she takes a shine to Rimmer. And it's quite funny why, really, isn't it, of course?
Because she gets everything wrong. So, of course, she fancies Rimmer.
Yeah, because she finds all of his traits amazing. So,
yeah. She also thinks their bunk room is charming, that Lister can play his instrument, which she thinks is a trumpet, and her glasses are constantly upside down.
Which I found very amusing. Like, I don't know why. It's such a small they don't address it, but it tickled me that her glasses were upside down. But they start to dismantle the device. They have to put 5 symbols in the correct order, and they've not got much time to do it. So, of course, they ask the doctor, and she's not sure, is she? She can't quite remember the right order.
No. Well, yeah, because they're asking her, is it this one first? And she's like, that one, no, that one, no, that one, no, that one. And basically, they just go with the one that she never mentions at all.
Yeah, which is a good selection process, really. This whole thing reminded me of if you've ever seen, the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire cheating thing, where the guy like says all the answers, but he's never to wait for the signal. But he just that selection where she's like, oh, it's beta. Oh no, but it could be gamma. Or it could be alpha. It just reminded me of that whole thing.
Yeah.
It made me chuckle. But in the end, we get to the last one. And once again, there's 2 options left. She's not quite sure. She's not quite sure whether it could be, I can't remember which 2. It's beta and gamma, is it, that are left? Or
I can't remember.
2 of them, beta's one of them, yeah. But 2 of them are left. And then Kat and Crichton, again, their synchronicity comes to the rescue. They dismantle her name, don't they? Saying how she likes to be Professor E. Her name's Irene, so Iron E. And how it would be ironic if for once she actually got something right. And sure enough, she does. Although I did notice, Phil, we see the screen when he presses that one, the beta, but then we don't see him press the final one that's left.
Oh,
the thing just falls off Lister.
Okay.
I mean, yes, he probably did it off screen. I'm being very nitpicky.
Yeah.
But Lister is free. All is well. And as we draw to the end, Rimmer looks like he might be in luck.
Yeah,
for once.
He's gonna get lucky. She wants to, get it on.
Yeah.
She says, would it be wrong? And I thought they were going to go down the route of like, he says it's right, but because she gets everything wrong, that wouldn't be okay. But they didn't. They did was much better.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you say, it looks like Rimmer's finally going to get lucky with a woman that he likes and she likes him. But Lister comes back from the airlock with the papers, ironically. Accidentally makes a trip, and she falls into the airlock, and because she's wrong, she presses the buttons, and she gets ejected into space. And Lister, in his comforting moments, simply asks, have you got a pen? So he can start on the paper. I really like this ending,
Yeah, it's a good ending.
Yeah. In an otherwise episode that I sort of found a bit, I don't know, like underwhelming or a bit like not very memorable, I did like how it ended. I felt it has one of the stronger endings. But yeah, I mean, that is Entangled in a nutshell. So before we get to our final ratings then, Phil, who was your favourite character in this?
I think I'm going to go with Rimmer. I was toying between Rimmer and Kat, because Kat has a lot of nice little, the whole of this series, actually, he's not the focus at all in anything, but he feels like he's being used, probably the best he's been used since the first 2 series. And that's a refreshing change. So, and I thought he was used quite well here, but I think I just about have to give it to Rimmer. It's not too much in it, but yeah, Rimmer. What about you?
Fair enough. I went for Professor E.
Okay.
I really liked her performance. I liked how she was obviously the character's wrong and she got that across, but I felt it wasn't overplayed. I think it would have been very easy to properly ham it up and make it very silly. But I feel the actor who played her struck a good balance, basically. And I really liked her. I hope with that final scene, before she got ejected, I thought, we're on the last scene. Is she going to stick around
for
another episode or 2? But no, she's pretty much dead.
We do not have another human surviving.
Unlucky, very unlucky. But and what about your funniest moment?
My funniest moment, I think, is a line when the ape comes out, when the chimp ape, whatever it is, comes out, and this is just after the Kachansky stuff. So he's before they reveal it's an ape and it's the professor. So they've been guessing it might be Kachansky. And Dave just goes,
well, it's definitely not Kachansky. She went for me groin.
Yes, yeah.
That made
good
me
gag.
laugh out
Good
loud,
gag.
that gag. And I really like that one. That was a good gag.
I'm glad you had one laugh out loud gag at least in this one. That's good. For me, it's probably going to be the ending. Again, just that last scene I think is played really well. The physical comedy's done really well. The last line's delivered great. It's the bit that made me laugh the most, honestly. Close second would probably be the little rhyme that Kat sings through about his CV.
Yeah, that was a potential for me as well.
Yeah, but no, I've got to give it to the ending. And finally, Phil, how many scutters out of 10 would you give Entangled?
I'm going to give it 6.5. It's not a bad episode. It's like, I wasn't bored at all. I wasn't watching it thinking, oh God, this is really rubbish. It's just a lot of it. I was watching it not thinking much about it at all. There wasn't it didn't kind of evoke much reaction in me at all, which is,
yeah.
I don't know. Is that the worst thing for an episode to be? At least if you hate something, you feel passionate about it. But it's just kind of all a bit like, it's all right.
No, I agree with what you're saying. It's funny, we're actually on the same wavelength today because I gave it a 6.5 as well. Yeah, I just think, like you say, it's not one of the best. It's, there are worse as well, but I think it just felt very run of the mill in the sense that, I mean, yes, there was a unique plot thing, but as I said, there weren't many laugh out loud moments for me. A lot of throwaway stuff, and again, the energy just didn't seem to be firing on all cylinders for this one. So. Yeah, 6.5. So pretty average then. We'll see if we remember this one, if we ever do a tier list again, see how much we remember about it. But yeah, that, dear listener, is Entangled. If we want to know your thoughts as well, though, so if you're listening to this on YouTube, you can let us know in the comments. If you're listening on Spotify or anything else, just head over to YouTube on Phil's channel and you can leave your comments there because we always like your feedback. And speak of, Phil, how can they find your channel if they want to do that?
It's just my name, Philip Hawkins. You can find me. It's a picture of, I think it's still a picture of me. Have I changed it? Oh no, now I'm doubting what the picture is. Still a picture of me in front of the TARDIS Randalls.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Or in front of the TARDIS. I might have changed it. Either way, it's something Doctor Who related. Me in front of something Doctor Who related. And Philip Hawkins, you can watch this there. I also talk about other geeky pop culture like Doctor Who and other stuff. So, check that out. And leave a comment on this video.
Yes, please do. And if you want to find any of my stuff, then it's Adam Martyn on YouTube. That's Martyn with the Y. You can also find me on Twitter at Adam Martyn AMTV. The podcast also has a Twitter at All Dead Dave Pod. You can go and give us a follow there. And if you want to pick up any Everybody's Dead Dave merch, then you can. We have a link to our store where you can get t-shirts, mugs, lots of cool stuff there. So go and check that out as well. In the meantime, we'll be back next week for episode 5, which is titled Dear Dave. We're racing towards the end of series 10, Phil. Only got 2 more episodes left. So next week, we'll be tackling episode 5, which is titled Dear Dave. We're racing through these. We've only got 2 more episodes of series 10 left. But we hope to see you there, so tune into that one. And in the meantime, from myself and from Phil, we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.